Good evening, welcome to Central News for Wednesday the 13th of November. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Event organisers have confirmed Bay Park will host round 2 of the New Zealand Jet Sprint Championship on January the 25th, 2014, a decision they believe could transform the sport on a global scale. The unique sport, boasting Kiwi origins since 1981, sees jet boats with crews of 2 race individually against the clock through a twisting series of channels in less than a metre of water, providing fast-paced action for spectators. Hosting next year's event at Bay Park will mean removing the equivalent of 300 truckloads of dirt from inside the stadium and replacing it with 2,000 cubic metres of fresh water. It will be the first time the championship is held from inside a stadium. Human bones discovered along Ocean Beach Road will remain temporarily buried, awaiting Archaeological Authority for excavation. The bones, known as ko iwi, were uncovered in a hole by contractors laying ultra-fast broadband cable along Mount Maunganui Road on October the 23rd. Historic Places Trust Lower Northern Regional Archaeologist Rachel Domordi says an archaeologist confirmed the bones are ko iwi on the day of discovery. She says the site has since been stabilised and the contractors must apply for an archaeological authority. Following this, the site can then be excavated. Construction of the cycleway and walkway linking Whakatane and Ohope will be completed and officially opened before Christmas. The 3.4 kilometre long track features concrete on the steeper sections and compacted crusher dust elsewhere, providing a safe, comfortable surface for running and cycling. Whakatane District Council Communications Advisor Andy Taylor says the initiative aims to facilitate a more active, fitter and healthier community as people choose to commute between 2 of the district's key residential areas by foot or pedal power. Now for our region's weather, and the sunny weather continues. Hamilton fine with light winds, your expected high is 21 and an overnight low of 7. Tauranga U2 will have a fine day with light winds, your expected high is 22 and an overnight low of 9. Just ahead, it's time to put down the shaver. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. November is becoming increasingly linked with Movember, the Men's Health Month, that sees money raised for men's health issues for the growing of moustaches. Loved by some women but hated by others, the moustaches are already sprouting across the country. Harriet caught up with Hamilton Cancer Society to find out what lies behind the mo.
So Sarah, what does the money raised from Movember go towards?
Well, it gets split between the Cancer Society of New Zealand and the Mental Health Foundation of New Zealand, about 50-50 split, and it's used to help achieve the strategic goals of the Movember Foundation, which are, things like prostate cancer research, initiatives to help men and promote men's health, and stuff about survivorship, so initiatives to help men after they may have had prostate cancer and the recovery process and how life goes on following a diagnosis like that and the treatment processes. And one of the major things that has come out of the funding from Movember is a website called Get the Tools, which is designed specifically to help men talk about their health.
So this Get the Tools website, can you tell us a little bit more about that and what's actually available to men on that site?
Yeah, sure. It's a really exciting initiative, and it's designed specifically for men to talk about issues that affect them and to find tools to help them find out, what things are meant to look like and what kind of changes they should be looking out for. And it's written for men by men, and so it reads like you're talking to your bloke next door and your best mate kind of thing. So it's really good in that sense. It's not medical jargony or anything like that, and there's a lot of resources on there for different things, like for outdoor workers, about how to be safe in the sun and keep themselves protected. There's things there about prostate cancer and bowel cancer, which are the kind of more common ones for men, particularly as they get older. there's support for men, I'd like to show them where they can get support if they're going through anything like this. And there's also, promotions that are going on, so information about like Movember and other things that men are doing to raise awareness around these kind of diseases and so on.
And why do you think that Movember is such a great event for men to get involved with?
Well, anything that gets men talking about their health and about the kind of issues that they're facing has got to be a good thing, really. And I think it's a really fun way to do it, and so it's not scary, it takes the fear out of it, and because kind of everyone's doing it, it makes it a bit more, seem a bit more acceptable to people to be able to talk about it. And it's also a really fun way to get, women involved and to get the kids involved, because they all want to know why daddy suddenly got a moustache.
Do you think that men have issues when it comes to openly discussing their health and perhaps their concerns about any health issues that they may be having?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's been recorded that men are actually much less open about these kind of things than women, and the stats show that they go and see a doctor a lot less regularly than women do, which in turn means that their levels of diagnosis are lower and they get diagnosed later, which is really, really poor for the statistics and mean that they, the sooner you find something, the earlier, the better it is for treatment. And so it's really important that we do talk about these things and encourage men to open up, because they are notorious about the attitude of she'll be right.
So are there any ways to prevent these forms of testicular or prostate cancer in men?
Unfortunately, they haven't found anything that's like the one key thing you can kind of do. And so it's a little bit more broader about having certain lifestyle choices, and they can help reduce your risk of all types of cancer, including like testicular and prostate and bowel cancer. And these are the kind of things like quitting smoking or not starting if you aren't a smoker already. If you drink alcohol, to do so in moderation and make sure that you do have some alcohol-free days every week and don't overindulge in alcohol. Things like just lifestyle choices in terms of how you're eating, your eating habits, eating fresh fruit and vegetables, and also making sure you exercise and try and maintain a healthy body weight. So those kind of simple things that your mother used to tell you to do.
And what should men do when it comes to having checkups or getting tested?
Sure. We recommend that men get regular checkups with their doctor, so say a yearly checkup, and then also just be a little bit aware about your body. If you notice something's not quite right, you're feeling extra tired and there's not really a reason for it, or something's not feeling right, go and see a doctor. Don't just put it off because you're a bit afraid, or lose that she'll be right kind of attitude. Go and get it checked out, because you're the best person to know when something's not right in your body, so pay attention to what it says. In terms of screening programs or anything, talk to your doctor, because there are sometimes cases where they might find something that it's not necessarily going to become cancerous or something, and it could just cause unnecessary procedures. So we definitely recommend talk to your doctor before you go and do anything like that, and find out about the benefits and the risks associated.
Now, coming into summer, what should we all be doing when it comes to protecting our skin against the sun?
Oh, Kiwis love the summer and the sun, and we love going out to the beach and camping and all that, so it's really important that we are safe in the sun and we do take care of ourselves. And thankfully it's actually really simple. So it's 4 simple rules. So slip on a shirt or into some shade, slop on some SPF 30 plus broad spectrum sunscreen, slop on a hat and wrap on some sunglasses, and they kind of cover your bases to keep you protected.
And when it comes to sunscreen application, is there a rule for how much we should be putting on or when we should be putting it on? How can we sort of get it right every time?
Yes, so New Zealanders are also really bad at not putting on enough sunscreen. And so the rule is it's actually about 7 teaspoons should cover your whole body. And so that's your face, your arms, your legs. But it sounds like quite a lot. So you've got to really get it in there, rub it all in, and make sure you get the things like the back of your ears and the back of your neck, and just make sure you protect those spots. And you should also do it about 15 minutes before you go outside. And then when you hit the beach or you hit the park, reapply, just to be extra sure. And then things like, if you go swimming or you're perspiring or anything like that, you should also reapply after that, and then about every 2 hours, just to be on the safe side. So there's quite a bit there that you do need to put on, but it will keep you safe.
And is there anything that you wish that you could let people know about skin cancer?
Oh, well, skin cancer is actually one of our most common cancers in New Zealand, and about 67,000 people get diagnosed with some form of skin cancer every year. But the thing is that 90% of skin cancers are actually preventable, and so that's where it comes into being really important that people do know the messages like slip, slop, slap and wrap and follow them, because they can prevent themselves getting cancer by just following those simple rules.
If you want to get involved with Movember this month, visit the official website newzealand.movember.com. Coming up next, we take a look at the new Hobbit eyesight. Welcome back. The Matamata eyesight may cause a few heads to turn since its makeover Hobbit style, but that was only half of the project. The back of the building has been boarded up as workers hammer away to finish the whole transformation, and hopefully the project will be finished by the time of the release of the second movie in the trilogy. I went along and spoke with the art director of the movies. You worked on the movies as the art director. What input have you had into the eyesight?
Pretty much the same job as on the movie. It's project manager, art director on here, and basically that's taking the concept plans and the concept drawings and making sure that what we build behind us here looks like the concept drawings. So what we have to do is we have to take all the council regulations and engineering and stuff like that, put that up first, and then we've got to make sure we clothe it in a facade that looks exactly like the concept drawings, if not cooler.
And are there council regulations on the actual set?
Yeah, there are council regulations on The Hobbit, but they're not the same because most film sets are temporary structures, so you don't have the same regulations to do with safety and fire regulations and that sort of thing.
What does an art director do for a movie?
The art director on a movie is the same thing. It basically bringing the concept artist's vision into reality or 3D. So whatever the style of what's drawn is, then that has to be the style of how it looks when it's built.
And what are the tricks of the trade? What are the little secrets about the eyesight?
Yeah, most of the time, the main trick in a movie build is that you're building something brand new, but you usually want it to look about 2 centuries old. So, and involved in that are a whole series of things, which is texturing and weathering timber, weathering rock or whatever it is. And also using landscapes and botanics, plants, to crawl vines over things to make them look like they've been there a long, long time. So whatever the movie is, you're actually throwing up a very quick set, but you want it to feel like it's been there for whatever time is required by the movie.
I mean, there must be a certain amount of artistic license involved, but do you feel like you really have captured what J.R. Tolkien was imagining?
There is a lot of artistic license involved, but yes, and Lord of the Rings, it was all new then. But yeah, and I mean, basically we used to refer back to the book a lot. So if you're towards the finish of a set, you'd refer back to the book and see if what you were building felt like what he was writing. And so that's always a good thing to do.
Well, you must know the book pretty well, page by page.
I did actually. I knew it pretty much inside out before I started on the movie, so that was just a bonus.
And you worked as the Green Masters of Lord of the Rings, so what's a Green Masters?
Greens Master basically is in charge of all things earth, trees, streams, rivers, so all the landscapes. So a lot of the landscapes you see in Lord of the Rings are actually real, but a lot of them are actually created, such as Hobbiton. And so anything to do with plants or trees, landscapes or water. So we built a lot of streams, a lot of rivers. We built Hobbiton and moved hills, and most of the time it's actually taking a studio and making it look like an outside area. So we may be required to create a little bit of the South Island in a studio in Wellington. So they shoot the main part in the South Island, and then they come back and shoot the close-ups in studios. So
why did you want to do the eyesight?
It's because basically I saw the concept art for it and thought it was a really cool look for an information centre. And it just seemed to me it wasn't tacky, and it wasn't naff, and it would be really cool to do if we could pull it off.
How would you describe your style of work?
Well, it's a difficult one because the style totally depends on what the project is you're working. So you really have to be a chameleon-like in what you produce, in that you've basically got to be able to translate whatever's required. So I don't have a specific style, although I certainly have a leaning towards very organic, which is my speciality.
What do you mean by organic?
Well, like in this case, we've got a building there, and it does have all the fulfilment of council regulations, which is steel girders and fire systems and things like that, but it's very much timber and thatch and stone. So they're all organic things, and they're what used to be used in buildings a long time ago. So it's really nice to be able to recreate that, even if it's not totally real.
How did you get into the industry?
I'm an arborist by trade, so I work with trees, and so I came into it 25 years ago by supplying branches to set builders when they wanted to build trees or build landscapes. And then as I started to supply branches, they then wanted trees supplied, and it went on from there.
What other films have you worked on?
I've worked on a few. Obviously there's Lord of the Rings. I also worked on Frighteners, which was Peter Jackson's film before Lord of the Rings. Heavenly Creatures, I worked on that. And I've worked on other New Zealand movies like Vintner's Luck, and also the initial Hercules telly movies when they were shot in Auckland in 1995, I think.
We'll keep you posted on the progress. Just ahead though, stopping youth to reoffend. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. At the beginning of the week, we had an interview about a successful bail support program, which teaches Māori youth about their ancestry through traditional fishing techniques. Tonight, I discussed some of the success stories with Rangi Ahipeni.
Wow, I'm really happy to say that in the last 12 months, I've had 100% success. And what does that success mean? It means that young person hasn't reoffended while they've been on the program, and they haven't breached their bail conditions while they've been on the program. And added on top of that, the bonus is that we've directed these young people into something they're passionate about, and they've got a positive outlook on what their future could be, instead of being stuck in the mire of their street culture.
But how successful is your fishing?
Well, I've got to say that 9 times out of 10, I catch fish. So I'm very blessed. Tangaroa looks after me. And I look after Tangaroa, and Tangaroa looks after me.
What kind of bait do you use?
I use standard baits like bonito and squid or shellfish.
Does a traditional hook stay in the mouth of the fish well, or?
No, actually at one time, I took a friend out and I gave him a hook to use, and he didn't realise he had caught a fish, and there was a big tangle on, this was a charter boat, and it took him about half an hour to untangle this tangle. The fish had been on the line for that whole time, and there was no way it was getting off, because the bone hooks are quite big, and the barbs are quite big. There's no way a fish is going to get itself off. So once it's on, it's on. The only way it's going to get off is the line breaks.
Do you only teach fishing techniques?
No, that's only just a small part of what I do. I love to come from outdoor and primitive survival. And so one of the first things I do with the young people is I want to give them something straight away. And if they're going to go on the program, give them something to be, wow, this program, this is cool, straight away. And so what I do is I teach them how to make fire using wood, fire by friction. And then I follow through with the story about how Maui and his grandmother Mahuika, and how fire was given to the Māori people, and again connecting them back that whakapapa. And it's one of those power moments that I talk about, because when it happens for a young person, regardless of whether they're conscious of it or not, their spirit must grow. And so the whole idea is to grow their spirit in positive ways that shed that old skin, so they grow beyond the street culture, or they see something more beyond the immediate street environment, and it gives them something to aim for.
What are the most common offences?
I'd say the most common offences would be burglary, would be willful damage, and also assaults.
What's the age range of youth that you're working with?
I have worked with 13 up to 17.
Are there any success stories that have stuck out to you?
Yeah, one young fella who I took fishing on my boat, and he caught a 9-pound snapper. The biggest fish that my boat's landed so far. And at the time he had an afro like out here. And his smile when he saw this fish was as big as his afro. And not just that, a couple of days later, his grandfather rings up my boss, crying on the phone, saying how this young person has come to him with this fish and has reconnected the grandson with the grandfather. Because even within families, there's also disengagement between the generations. And he felt like his grandson was on the right path. So that's one that stands out for me.
Are there any others you'd like to share?
Yes, there was a young fella that I worked with for just 1 week, actually. Probably the least time I work with a young person. And in that time, he managed to get what we call a 282 in youth justice terms, which means that his youth record is wiped. Yeah, so that was great.
So how did you manage to do that?
He just basically proved himself to court that he could comply and that he wasn't posing a risk as he was before.
What do you think these youth come away with that stops them reoffending?
Respect. Respect, empathy with their environment. Because the Māori worldview is that we are connected to everybody and everyone. And so if you can respect, well, that's the mantra that our Māori culture espouses, is respect everyone and everything. And I suppose they get it. They start to realise that fact.
So is it about learning that everything you do has a consequence?
It's like I said, it's about re-engaging them into the world and everyone around them, because really they're just out there disengaged, creating all this mayhem, not realising the damage.
If you would like to support the program or help them get a new boat, you can contact Te Tuinga Whānau Trust. That is our program for tonight. If you have any news you want to share with us, email us at news@tvcentral.co.nz or like us on Facebook. Join me again tomorrow night for more stories from around the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a good night.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.